Have you ever felt like life just isn't going your way? One bad thing happens after another, and you start to wonder if you're cursed. Well, let me tell you a story that might just change the way you see everything. Once, in a quiet little village nestled between golden fields and silent mountains, lived an old man. He wasn't rich or famous, but he was known for his calm and gentle spirit. His most prized possession wasn't gold or land, but a magnificent white horse. This horse was a true marvel, strong, graceful, and full of life. People would travel from all over just to catch a glimpse of it. Wealthy merchants and nobles offered him fortunes for the animal, but the old man always refused with a soft smile. "This horse is not for sale," he'd say. "He is my friend, my companion, my family." His fellow villagers thought he was a fool. "You could sell that horse and live like a king for the rest of your days," they'd tell him. But the man would calmly reply, "Money can buy many things, but it cannot buy peace." Then one morning, disaster struck. The old man woke up to find the stable empty. The magnificent white horse was gone. All that remained were hoofprints leading away into the deep forest. The news spread through the village like wildfire. Soon a crowd gathered at his humble home. "What terrible luck!" they cried. "Your horse ran away. If only you had sold him when you had the chance. Now you have nothing." The old man looked at their worried faces, his own expression unreadable. He simply said, "Maybe it's bad, maybe it's not. Who can say?" The villagers were baffled. "Of course it's bad. You've lost your greatest treasure," they insisted. But the old man just smiled and returned to his daily chores, leaving them to whisper among themselves. A few days passed. Then, one afternoon, something incredible happened. The white horse reappeared, trotting out of the forest. And he wasn't alone. Following closely behind him were 3 beautiful wild horses from the mountains. The entire village was in an uproar. They rushed to the old man's home again, this time with cheers. "This is amazing!" they shouted. "You lost 1 horse, and now you have 4. What incredible fortune!" Once again, the old man responded with that same unshakable calm. "Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. Time will tell." The people were more puzzled than ever. How could someone remain so composed, whether faced with loss or fortune? Shortly after, the old man's only son, a strong and capable young man, began the difficult task of training the wild horses. He wanted to help his father and turn these new animals into a blessing for their family. But one day, while trying to tame a particularly spirited horse, he was thrown violently to the ground. The fall was bad. His leg was broken, a severe and painful injury. And once again, the villagers came. This time, their faces were filled with pity. "What terrible, terrible luck," they said, shaking their heads. "First your horse ran away, then it brought back this trouble, and now your only son is hurt. This must surely be a curse." But the old man, tending to his son's injury, spoke softly. "We can't see the whole picture," he said. "Sometimes the path to something good is filled with pain." Weeks went by, and the son began his slow recovery. Then tragedy struck the entire kingdom. A brutal war broke out with a neighboring nation. Imperial soldiers marched into the village, their orders clear and absolute. Every able-bodied young man was to be drafted into the army immediately. Families wept as their sons were taken away one by one to fight in a war from which many would never return. Every single young man in the village was conscripted, except for one. The old man's son, with his leg still mending, was deemed unfit for service. He was left behind. The villagers stood in stunned silence. They came to the old man, their eyes wide with a new understanding. "You were right," they whispered, their voices filled with awe and sorrow. "Your son's broken leg, it saved his life. All of our sons are now in danger." The old man looked at them, his eyes full of compassion. "Life is a river," he said gently. "It is always moving between joy and sorrow, gain and loss. What seems like a terrible misfortune today may be what protects us tomorrow. Everything happens for a reason, even if we can't understand it at the time. And so, the old man continued his peaceful existence. He didn't celebrate his good fortune too loudly, nor did he despair over his hardships too deeply. He understood that life was like the ever-changing wind. Sometimes it blows in your favor, and sometimes it blows against you, but it is always carrying you forward. The lesson from this story is simple, yet incredibly powerful. Never be too quick to judge the events of your life. What feels like a devastating tragedy today might just be a blessing in disguise tomorrow. Think about it. Sometimes the very thing that breaks you is what ends up saving you later. The wise old man teaches us that true peace doesn't come from having a perfect, easy life. It comes from trusting the process, from having faith in the journey. When we stop labeling every moment as either good or bad, we open ourselves up to seeing the bigger picture. We start to understand that every single event, every twist and turn has its place in the grand design of our lives. So many of us spend our lives agonizing over the why. Why did this happen to me? Why now? But the truth is, we're not always meant to see the full picture right away. Sometimes, what feels deeply unfair is actually a form of protection. Sometimes, pain is just a necessary step on the path toward our true purpose. So the next time something goes wrong, the next time you feel like the world is crashing down around you, just breathe. Take a moment. Don't fall into despair. Try to believe that there is a reason behind it all, even if it's hidden from you right now. Life has its own profound wisdom, and time has a beautiful way of revealing the meaning in things that once felt meaningless. In the end, every loss, every tear, every long and uncertain wait, it will all make sense. The secret is not to give up too soon. It's not to judge too fast. It's to hold on to a little bit of faith, especially when the road ahead is dark and you can't see the next step. The old man in the story wasn't powerful or wealthy, but he possessed something far more valuable, the unshakable peace that comes from trusting life itself. And that is the real wisdom, the true treasure that we can all learn from him. So when uncertainty strikes, when you're faced with something you can't understand, remember his words. Remember the story of the white horse. Maybe, just maybe, what feels like a curse today is actually a blessing in disguise. Everything happens for a reason. And when you look back one day, you'll see that even the hardest, most painful days were absolutely necessary to lead you exactly where you were always meant to be. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more content like this. We'd love to have you as part of our community. See you in the next one.